Want to make every student feel heard and make class discussion more fun? Today, I'm showing you the QBall Pro, a simple and powerful EdTech tool that will take asking questions to a whole new level in your classroom. The QBall Pro is a soft, durable ball that actually has a wireless microphone built in. It's designed specifically for classrooms to amplify student voice, literally loud and clear, without anyone yelling. Plus, it adds elements of fun. Students will love throwing this ball around, and you will too, knowing that it's kind of indestructible. Who knows, even those shy learners will want to speak up if they have the QBall Pro in their hand. And it's a powerful classroom management tool. Whoever has the ball has the floor. Setup for this thing is pretty simple too. So let's press rewind and check out the unboxing and setup of the QBall Pro. Here we go. Let's go ahead and start unboxing. Got a cover and the QBall. There it is, QBall Pro. Let's check out what's inside. Get ready to drop the mic. All right. Got some more documentation here, which we'll put aside. Looks like we have receiver. We'll get that plugged in later. All right, power. USB-A to USB-C. Maybe that's connecting to the receiver to the power maybe. And we got another cable here, another USB-A to USB-C. Lastly, we have our auxiliary cord. And I'm guessing that will be from the receiver to the speaker. Check that out. An actual ball. Looks like that's it, but here it is. QBall, foam, interesting, soft, durable. I like it. And it bounces. I like it. Now, this isn't gonna do much on its own. Let's get this plugged into a speaker that I just happen to have thanks to the folks over at QBall. And looking at the instructions, it looks like the first thing we're gonna have to do is charge the QBall. So I'm gonna take the charger that it came with and one of these USB-A to USB-Cs and get this boy charged up. But before we do that, I'm gonna show you how to access the controls and everything. So kind of turn that foam. It's like a, what would you call this? Like a windscreen. And you just twist that off. And then you have all your ports here to charge and power and all that, which we'll go over a little bit later in the video, but let's get this thing charged up. The good folks at QBall were able to send me a big old Groove Onn Speaker to pair this with and give us a shot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this unboxed. Peekaboo. All right, let's cut this bad boy open. We got cardboard, ladies and gentlemen. And we got a speaker. It's a big one. Oh man. I'll be able to take this everywhere with me. I'm gonna put this in my car. You're gonna hear me coming from blocks away. All right, so QBall is charging up. I'm gonna get this thing charged up, that way we can sync the two and kind of replicate what a classroom environment would look like with a QBall and some sort of speaker system. So let's get these charged up. All right, our QBall is charged up. Speaker is charged up, ready to go. And we're gonna go about the process of getting our receiver plugged in to the speaker. And this is basically replicating what you have in the classroom. Some of you might have like a Lightspeed system connected in the classroom, and this would easily get connected to that. Some of you might have an external speaker system in your classroom, and this is basically to replicate a classroom environment. So let's give this a shot. First thing I'm going to do, on the back of the receiver, we've got 3 ports. We have our power, which is what our USB-C is going to go to. We also have an audio out. So we're going to go from audio out right there to the input of our speaker here. So on the back of the speaker, we have an audio in over here, which we're going to plug into and get that going. So let's plug in. Turn it on by pressing the power button. So there's a power button here. Let's go ahead and turn that on. It says it should start blinking green. Okay, look at that. Actually solid green. Solid green means that there's a connection made to the receiver itself. So it looks like it's already paired to the receiver. Turn on the power to the speaker.
Power on. Bluetooth pairing.
All right. I'll put that back on. There we go. So on the speaker, that was cool. So on the speaker, I changed the input to the auxiliary AUX. And as soon as the ball was like right side up, my voice started coming out. So let's check this out. All right, boys and girls, what? Crazy. And then flipping it upside down disables it. That is actually pretty cool. Let's give this a shot from a further distance away, shall we? Okay, so I have the speaker set up on the other side of the room with the receiver. I have the ball over here. It is upside down. So I'm gonna flip it right side up. You'll notice it turned green, and I can now speak into it. All right, so this is pretty cool. It does have its own independent volume on the ball, as well as the speaker. So we're gonna kind of have to play around with that. Now I'm gonna have to take that windscreen off. And to do that, I'm gonna have to do it upside down and adjust the volume. There's some volume buttons here. So I'm gonna turn the volume down and give it a test. All right, check 1, 2. Okay, much better, much better. Let's go on a little higher. Check 1, 2. Windscreen back on, but let's do that upside down. There we go. So, and then this cover, we can always put that on later, but this is actually pretty cool. I could see if you have a microphone system in your classroom, you could use that. You know, some of those systems you wear around your neck, some of them you just kind of walk around or clip them on. And then when it's time for students to ask a question, it's, you know, you got to pass them an additional microphone, or you have to repeat the question, especially in a larger room. But with this, you could literally toss them the ball, and then the student can then ask the question with independent volume control on here, and on the speaker that you have, you can also amplify that, and that way everybody hears, because you can't learn if you can't hear what's going on in the classroom. So this system's actually pretty cool. There's different modes, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but just right out of the box, it works, and it works well. One really cool feature that I just figured out now is it actually has a mute button on the receiver. So on the receiver, there's 2 buttons. There's your typical power button, but then you have this mute button, so that when you flip the cue ball right side up, it's muted, and you can tell when I flipped it upside down, or from upside down to right side up, because it blinked red and green really quickly. And even though it's in this mode, right side up, the voice is not coming out of the speaker, because I muted the actual receiver itself. And if I unmute the receiver, it's magically on again. So pretty cool feature. So as I'm looking through the documentation and that, playing around with it, one of the things I found out is that the cue ball knows when it's being thrown. And when it's being thrown, it actually will shut itself off. And I'm gonna try to replicate this on camera. That way you guys can check it out. So here you can see the red, green, and if I was to toss it, you'll see that it turns red, even though it's right side up, because it knows it's being tossed. And as soon as I catch it, it turns green. Pretty cool. It also states here in the documentation that it has an auto sleep feature. The QBall automatically goes into standby mode if no movement is sensed for 15 minutes. The LED lights will turn blue when asleep. To wake it back up, just give it a shake. Pretty neat. And it also has an auto off feature. After 2 hours of inactivity, the QBall will automatically turn itself off. So if you forget to manually power it off, no worries. Odds are there's more fun to be had on that charge. So I'm curious to see how long that full charge will last. And it actually will interface on your computer with Google Translate. So you can actually connect the receiver to your computer, go to the Google Translate page, and as long as you change your input on your computer to the QBall, talking into the ball will translate through Google Translate. So let's give that a shot. To start using the Google Translate feature, what I had to do is I had to connect the receiver to my MacBook. However, a couple things to consider. I tried just a regular USB-C to USB-C. It didn't like any of my USB-C cables, including a Thunderbolt one as well. So I had to connect my dongle to make sure that I can go USB-A to USB-C to the receiver, and I can see that I have power to the receiver. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my system settings on my Mac. And on my system settings on my Mac, for output, it's going to be my regular speakers. And for input, I'm going to choose QBall. So now on my computer, I'm going to go to translate.google.com. And let's see if we can get some translation going on. Let's take our QBall. Let's click on our microphone, allow while visiting the site. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak directly into the QBall, as you guys can see, and it's taking that input in Google Translate and translating it to whatever language. In this case, it just happens to be Spanish. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of implications that can be done for both students and teachers as well. So that's a really cool feature, and I'm curious to see how that plays out in the classroom and in different classroom settings. So in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty cool. Now, keep in mind, I'm testing this at home. However, I'm going to be bringing this to the classroom environment as well as conferences and things like that, along with that big old speaker that I got over there, and getting some real world use. If you are a QBall user, let us know in the comments your favorite features, how you're using it, and how you've changed the way you teach, and how your students give you input and feedback through the QBall, specifically the QBall Pro. And if you don't have one yet, comment why you'd like one. Why is it that you would like one? If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like, leave a comment, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe. That way you get notified when new videos like this are published. And on that note, QBall, thank you very much for sending this out to me. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to getting some real world use after I put this sleeve on it, because it's gonna get dirty real quick with students. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, talk to you soon, and buen provecho.